By 2050, our planet will be home to nearly 10 billion people. Biodiversity loss, climate change, pollution, deforestation, these are all made worse by our huge and ever-increasing numbers. 10% of Earth's land is suitable for growing crops. And of that, we've used 80% of it already. That isn't just a challenge, it's a crisis. Today, I want to introduce to you a mostly unheard of solution to these problems, using a powerful and relatively new tool practically to do so. It's very exciting. It's bioengineering to fix photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is like nature's solar panel, the way plants convert carbon dioxide and water into the food we eat and the oxygen we breathe. Pretty much all life on Earth, in large part, owe their very existence to this process. In these tiny green leaves, a photosynthesis factory has been running non-stop for almost 3 billion years. I want you to imagine this factory line. Through a series of biological reactions, the plant takes carbon dioxide, reacts it with water, and forms the sugars that we eventually eat. Now, all these machines on the factory line, well, these represent microscopic proteins called enzymes. And you can think of enzymes as specialized workers. They handle one part of the process, carrying out a specific function. Now, if the whole line runs smoothly, the plant efficiently pulls carbon from the air and produces the food we eventually eat. However, that's not really the case. And that's thanks to one incompetent enzyme called Rubisco. I want you to change your imagination of the factory line. One that runs 24/7, powers every life form on Earth, and yet it's run by one of the laziest workers that you can think of. That's Rubisco. So the next time you want to take your lunch break early, just tell your boss that you can be lazy too and still power the world, because then Rubisco is your role model. First off, Rubisco is painfully slow. And we're talking hundreds of times slower than any other enzyme or any of these workers. Secondly, it's also error prone. Instead of grabbing carbon dioxide like it's supposed to, it often snatches oxygen by mistake. And this completely derails the process. In plants, the whole system has to halt and switch into emergency cleanup mode. This happens so frequently that a plant wastes up to 25 to 50% of the energy it captures during photosynthesis to fix Rubisco's sloppy mistakes. So the question I keep coming back to is, well, why hasn't nature replaced this screw-up with something better? I mean, if Darwin was right about natural selection, then Rubisco should have been fired ages ago. Well, for most of Earth's early atmosphere, and we're talking millions of years ago, carbon dioxide concentrations were actually much higher than they are today. So Rubisco's little habit of mistaking oxygen wasn't much of a problem. Back then, it did not have to evolve to discriminate between the two molecules. But now, carbon dioxide concentrations are much lower. And suddenly, that sloppy molecular judgment matters a lot. In fact, it becomes a liability. And if you thought it couldn't get worse, well, rising temperatures due to climate change tip the odds even further in oxygen's favor, making Rubisco's mistakes more frequent, more costly, and more chaotic. Just when we need stability, the system starts to unravel. Well, what can we do then if the plants won't evolve themselves or at fast enough rate? Well, researchers and bioengineers are working ways to change Rubisco by tweaking its protein structure, aiming to improve both its speed and accuracy in photosynthesis. A more efficient version of Rubisco can lead to greater crop productivity, higher food availability, and stronger carbon capture, offering a powerful tool against both hunger and climate change. Rubisco changes at an incredibly slow rate, one that cannot keep up with how us humans are changing our ecosystem. Researchers have found that Rubisco evolves at a rate of just one DNA base every 900,000 years. In comparison, the COVID-19's genome changes at a rate of every 2 weeks, and this places Rubisco in the slowest 1% evolving genes on Earth. Well, how do plants get around this problem? Well, just producing so much of Rubisco that its slow work rate and errors are accounted for. Rubisco is the most abundant protein on the planet. But Photosynthesis isn't just how plants grow, it's how we survive. It gives us every apple we eat and every breath that we take. But it's all balanced on one slow, clumsy protein. Now, the steps can be quite complicated, but this is the overview. We first identify the gene that codes for rubisco inside plants, and then we express them in bacteria like E. coli. And bacteria are excellent to work with because they have a fast reproduction rate and also have a relatively small genome, which makes it very easy to engineer. So we make changes to the rubisco gene, we express them in bacteria, and measure how these changes affect the enzyme's activity, speed, and accuracy in photosynthesis. Now, it's obviously said a lot easier than done, but it is important because hunger weakens communities, it fuels conflicts, and holds back economic progress. It's essential that we focus on farming more efficiently. It's about rethinking one of life's most fundamental processes to secure our future. By ensuring people have enough to eat, we unlock human potential, promote stability, and build a more sustainable world for everyone. If one small protein can shape the destiny of a planet, what else might we be overlooking that holds the same power? I appreciate this can be quite the doom and gloom this early in the morning, but as you know, climate change does not wait for your morning cup of coffee. So the next time you bite into a piece of apple, remember, it was crafted by sunlight, but stitched together by a flawed but faithful enzyme. Now, this technology is revolutionary, but it's weird to think that some of life's most important processes are built on such imperfections. But maybe that's just where the beauty lies. Thank you.